That's okay, I can move it.
Okay, so one of my engineers, both of my engineers have helped me put this together. But this is more of a training overview of SimNow. So to give you an idea of what it can do and where things are, and it's actually pulled up over on that screen over there. It's already up and running. So I'm going to give you a little overview of SimNow, and then I'll tell you how you get it and install it and things, and then the using of it will show you. I'll demo a bunch of stuff on the PC over there. SimNow is basically an x86 64-base dynamic translating instruction set simulator. But it actually, the big thing is it's a platform emulation system, which I know you guys have seen a lot of different ones before. But SimNow emulates the complete ATI and AMD processors, and we're starting to model most of the ATI. We're starting to get the graphics chips modeled, but right now we have a simple graphics model in the simulator to allow you to do the simulation like it's showing over there. So some of the design goals when we put SimNow together were to target 1/10 of the speed of the hardware, so we try to run about 10 times slower than real hardware would run. The ability to model multi-processor platforms and complex I/O bridges. Allows us to use and add models. So we have a lot of different interfaces that we have available in SimNow. And a good portion of that is because we want to make sure that others can add on to it without us having to affect the main structure of SimNow. Deterministic execution, the ability to test in particular, and with signatures and existing simulators, and the ability to be tightly coupled with a microprocessor. So those are some of the SimNow goals that when we first did, and here's a few more of them. That we don't want to have to go in and modify the simulator to be able to run existing software. So like all device drivers run as is, BIOS code runs as is on SimNow, and you just boot up after you've designed the platform, you can boot up the software and run it. It should run on a standard AMD-based processor, and it gives you an enhanced visibility into the system. So sometimes where you wouldn't be able to break and see things in real hardware, you can see what's going on in SimNow. Currently, it's hosted on Windows. The host can be a Windows or a Vista or a Linux 64-bit operating system. But a couple things it's not designed to be is basically running on platforms other than AMD processors. Obviously, we don't test it on any other machines. The timing accuracy, we don't expect it, although there is timing in SimNow, the timing accuracy is totally skewed to real hardware. Okay, so you need the microprocessor or the timing modules that we created with like COTSon to get more accuracy. It doesn't simulate any of the electrical behaviors, and the complete I/O just a lot of times when we modeled some of the ATI chipsets and some of the I/O models, we only model what's necessary to actually boot and to run and what people are looking at of interest, because otherwise it would take a lot more effort, and we only do it when we need them. Okay, so some of the things that SimNow has been used for is BIOS and device driver development, generating snapshots and event traces for input into the micro simulator that we have. So we tend to run them in parallel and actually in LSF, so that they can run separately in the background. Prototyping software visible architectural changes. We also have used it for determining measurements and testing of software at the instruction set level, modeling future platforms and correctness and performance analysis, the operating system, developers testing new chip features. So like when we went to the Gigabyte paging. We used SimNow to do a lot of the analysis ahead of time, and the software operating systems got their software working ahead of time. Hardware device modeling, and it's used internally to evaluate new instruction architectures. So as we put new instructions into the simulator, it gets into the simulator long before we actually have real hardware available. So, getting and installing SimNow. Some of the requirements are that you have to have an AMD 64 CPU. A multiprocessor core is highly recommended, especially if you're going to do debugging at the same time, or if you've got a debugger up at the same time, because you want to be able to have the SimNow takes up a lot of the one CPUs. Windows, and it has to run on Windows or Linux, as I said before. It's good to have a fairly good amount of memory, because everything you model in the platform is actually going to be used in SimNow. So if you model with 2 gigs of memory in the simulation, you have to have 2.5 gigs or so in your main platform. Sufficient value, that's what's gotten caught on a lot of people, so we kind of put it on our training slides, is that a lot of people in the Linux environment haven't had their max count set up high enough, and there's a few other, but it won't work if you don't have the max count set up high enough for to run. So sometimes that's turned on, sometimes not. There's a few other requirements in the user's manual, and you can look at that. It comes with when you download SimNow, you can download it for the external version. That's an NDA version that requires a license agreement with SimNow, with AMD, which I don't know, we have 45 license agreements with different companies to be able to use SimNow. The public user version, though, is available on developers.amd.com, and it can be downloaded at any time. And so each of those, we may have similar packages, and we've been talking about how we can make that available with the COTSon, okay? But right now, we don't have anything available, depending on the interest and things like that. We'll see what we can do to make something available in the COTSon product. But the main difference between the developers and the NDA release is that in the developers release, or the public release, you can't make your own platforms. We provide you with like 3 or 4 different BSDs, and you can't really create your own platforms, okay? And in the NDA release, you get all the platforms, and then you can create your own hard drives or your own images that you want to use that you're running on SimNow. So obviously this is self-explanatory. Windows, it's a self-extracting file, and Linux, it's a tar file, so you can download